My guest is a pioneering leadership coach and systems builder. He's helped hundreds of teams upgrade their culture, their hiring, their performance. He's authored, I think it's 5 books now, hosted 300 podcasts, including a great one with me. He advises...
It was great.
It was pretty good, wasn't it? I thought so.
It was.
Link is in the description. He advises high growth teams on how to lead with clarity and impact. He's the founder of Manage to Win. He's on a mission to help leaders build teams that truly perform. Welcome to Leadership That Sells, the podcast for sales leaders who really want to understand what sort of team they're in. And most sales teams today are not really teams. They're what we call teams in parallel and working in a similar way, but not just with each other. And most sales managers are still leading like it's 1999, like they're in a football team when they've actually got a group of golfers. Now that mismatch then creates all kinds of pain, poor coaching, bad pipeline meetings, burned out managers, reps adrift all over the place. And what we've done is we've created a lightweight reset to help your managers lead them in the right way, setting clear expectations, building identity without the huggy fluff, and coaching for autonomy without going hands off. It's not just training. When you shift to a model that fits your team, performance scales a whole lot easier. That sounds like your world? Grab the free Parallel Team Playbook at the Practical Leadership Academy website. It's a short, sharp little thing made for senior folk who have teams of managers just like you. David Russell, thank you very much indeed for joining me, sir.
Oh, it's an honor to be here, Paul. It was kind of funny. I was listening to the podcast we did together before and just reminded me of how much I enjoyed talking with you. So this is fun to be here.
This is the back at you one, isn't it?
Yeah, and I didn't think about it coming on that we were going to talk about sales teams, but it's a great topic. I mean, I talk about the 4 management disciplines, how you hire, manage, develop, and retain people, and I say consistently, hiring salespeople is the toughest thing, and managing them, it is very challenging.
Yeah. I mean, you've just joined in the last couple of months as salesperson par excellence in a new role for yourself. When you're in there doing the do, what are you seeing?
Well, I mean, I'm with Blackpoint Cyber. I joined on February 28th. It's probably the top cybersecurity company it will be in the world. I mean, it's on a rapid growth pace. It has invented several things. It has patents. As a matter of fact, it just invented the unified security posture and response platform. And so it stops things because now cybersecurity is changing where instead of it's a lot of phishing, it's a lot of other things, and then how people move on the network and things. Anyway, I won't go into that. But I just enjoy selling. And as I mentioned to you, which made you laugh, might make your audience laugh, I've been selling, I realized, for over 50 years, which is kind of crazy.
You're not actually that old, though. You're not.
Well, fortunately, I'm very healthy. So it's a good thing. Yeah. But sales teams are tough. And I think really, if you've got any problems on your sales team, the first thing you've got to do is figure out what you're doing wrong.
Oh, yes.
Because the starting point is you as the leader. It always is. And it can be that you didn't train people well. I talk about, Paul, since we talked last, I talk about a 3T process of training. So you teach to transfer knowledge. You test to confirm they can do it. They can apply what they learned. And a lot of people don't do that. They just go for nodding head syndrome. Yep, I got it. Yeah.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Yeah. And then the third piece is train or mentor until the person masters it. And that's never ending in sales. I mean, even the best salespeople are still learning.
Teach,
and I wouldn't consider
trainer or mentor. I like it.
Yeah. So it's TTT. So, and in sales, a lot of times people are hired and then just thrown into a role.
Oh, yeah.
They have very little training, or they're given videos to watch or literature to read. And the train and test piece in particular are important. But even your best salespeople, you should be doing ride-alongs, and at least monthly.
Oh yeah.
And spend time with the people. It may be that they're going to teach you. But the bottom line is, as the leader, when you got a problem on your team, you first got to say, where did I mess up? Because you are messing up, and you got to figure that out. Am I being too harsh on leaders?
I think you're actually doing us all a benefit. It's the dream. I think it's the dream of all men is to know yourselves as other people know you, to see yourselves as other people see you. And from looking in the mirror, you know everything that needs to be known about humanity. And if you are a leader or a manager of anybody at all, then your responsibility is to know yourself and have your own stuff fixed before you go off and burden other people with all your own crap. But understanding how you work helps you understand how they work.
Yeah, and it is too bad that I don't know how it is across the pond where you are, but in America, we don't teach any of this emotional intelligence stuff to kids. We don't teach kids to try to understand themselves, and we don't teach soft skills in schools. How to be on a team, how to be a great team player, and how to be a leader, how to manage your time, how to set priorities, how to set and achieve goals. We don't do those things in our schools. And parents are struggling. And I don't want to go off on a tangent on
I'll go for it.
politics or schools or whatever, but think of what your nation would be like, our nation would be like, if we actually taught people how to understand themselves and understand we're all wounded. I don't know about you, Paul, but at this age, I've concluded everybody's wounded. Some are really wounded, but all of us have emotional wounds. I grew up with two loving parents. I still have emotional wounds. And understanding those and how that affects how we filter information and make decisions and take actions.
Yeah.
And then the soft skills piece, and then how do we work together? I mean, anyway, I better stop on that, but I'll stay with sales teams. But sales teams can be awesome, and that's what we're going to talk about, right?
Totally, totally. The awesomeitude, the awesomeness, right? They teach, test, and train, or mentor until they get it right. I think you're onto something supremely simple there. I mean, you're talking hiring, managing, developing, and retaining. Again, it's just the pathway of everything. And even then, the reason I like and I've focused in on working with, I suppose it's because I really enjoy it. I'm not a very good salesperson. I'm really not. I'm a very good leader of salespeople. I'm a very good getter of other people to do stuff, but it's still sales. And the reason I call this thing leadership that sells, yes, of course, You're trying to sell stuff. You're trying to sell a thing or a solution or whatever it is, but every leader is trying to sell an idea. Everyone is trying to lead people towards an idea, towards themselves, towards what they believe, towards their goal in life, towards they're proselytizing about their faith. They're selling the idea of whatever the concept is. The fundamentals are you are in service to another person. You are leading them towards a goal, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's a big part of our preconceptions around both leadership and how teams work that just screws up those poor sods who are the sales managers. And it's the fact that you think that a sales team is a team, and it isn't. It's this idea that a sales team is not a football team. The sales team is this, as I said at the introduction there, it's this collection. It's a group of excellence. It's a collection of golfers, not footballers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and when you think about that, if you have, instead of you've got, a football team or soccer, like we call it here, and you have that, and you think about, or even you go to Wayne Gretzky skating to where the puck's going to be instead of where it is. When you have a team, they're working together down the field or down towards wherever you want to go. Whereas, as you mentioned, where you've got independent golfers, whether they're on the same course or different courses, I've never seen golfers playing a team round where I guess there are certain tournaments for fun where you might have, two people or four people paired together, grouped together, but otherwise everybody's doing their own thing.
So the uniform bits, and again, this fits with your model there. It's the hiring, managing, developing, and retaining. and I want to get into this as well. It's how do you coach, develop, manage, retain, hire your golfer, right? He or she does not need to fit in the gap that's missing in your team. There isn't a gap missing in your team. He or she needs to be receptive to coaching, to training, needs to fit in with who we say that we are, the standard, needs to be able to perform autonomously, needs to accept coach. There's all these things that they need to do, but that's just a general performance. In your model, what would you say the first step somebody should take if they are looking at something?
Well, I think the first step, as we just mentioned, is you've got to take an inventory of yourself.
Yeah.
You got to understand where your strengths or weaknesses are. And it may surprise you, Paul, but I think you need to work on your strengths more than your weaknesses. Because if you really get clarity on where your strengths and weaknesses are, then you'll be able to choose a strength. And when you take that to another level, you're trying to get to mastery too. When you take that strength to another level, you're going to find some of the weaknesses goes away because it'll overlap. Now, you're also going to have to address some weakness. For instance, on the retention side, I'll jump all the way to the fourth management discipline. On the retention side, on a sales team, you have to be really clear what is a realistic time frame for someone to ramp up in sales and then maintain sales on this team. Is it 6 months? I mean, that's a common number that's given. You're in enterprise software sales, it might be a year or two. I mean, it really varies based on what you're selling and the size of what the sale is. So you need to be aware of that. But a lot of times on sales teams, accountability is missing. That's a manager problem.
Yeah.
Okay, or a leader problem. And I'm speaking of retention right now, but the other accountability piece that's missing is I don't know, I'm curious what your rhythm is, but I teach that you've got to meet with your direct reports once a week.
Oh yeah.
You've got to.
Yeah.
Okay. And I get people who say, oh, I meet with them once every 2 weeks, or we don't really have a scheduled meeting.
Have one, build one, start now.
Yeah.
Put it in the diary, repeat. Yeah. And don't change it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's a huge piece. And you know, I think we've talked before my MAP agenda that basically, you know, you start with metrics, that's the past. Okay, what did we agree you're going to do after in our last meeting, or maybe what I was going to do for you? So, and how are you with quota? Where's your pipeline? You know, you have different things that were agreed on. So you start with the past, that's the M. You go to actions. That's been a change since we last talked. I used to call it adjustments, but you go to actions. Okay, what's on our plate now? What opportunity are we moving forward? By the way, I go with Zig Ziglar, and you and I heard in our last podcast, we both like Zig. We don't use the word deal, you know, a 4-letter word. But what's the opportunity? What's the contract? What are we moving forward? What client do we need to be in touch with? By the way, what holiday's coming up? And we may want to send a card, or we may want to, like, we have a big client of ours at Blackpoint, and I probably shouldn't mention this because if anybody hears it and they're not one of these big clients, but we sent out classy chocolates.
Nice.
I mean, these are first class chocolates. I don't know, they were like $40, $50, whatever, and they're beautiful to look at. They're wonderful to eat. And I actually heard from a guy yesterday. He said, "Hey, I got your chocolates, man. That was classy. That's great." Because, you know, if you just send them swag, you know, you send them a shirt, or you send them, you know, something
My kids
like,
have
okay,
them.
like,
Yeah. My kids sleep in
well,
the
that's right.
shirts. We clean the car with some of this stuff I pick at the trade shows.
Yeah. So you figure out what's classic. My boss used to, for really big opportunities, I mean, huge opportunities, they bought a $300 remote control car, and they would send it to the decision maker, but they'd keep the remote control. So they'd say, "Hey, you know, if you want to, you know, use the car, call us. We'll have a meeting. We'll bring the remote control."
And for those of you working in compliance, then that's where you go. Yeah, gifting and all that jazz. Just love it.
Yeah.
Metrics, action, and planning. I mean, that's
Yeah. So yeah, and then you come out with the plan. That's the future.
yeah.
So you got to do that as a leader. If you're not doing that with your people, and you can run any meeting that way. Okay. I mean, my wife and I try to have a weekly business meeting where we handle all the scheduling,
Hmm.
all the different finance, the rest of the stuff. We have a date night separately. We don't discuss that stuff. And we follow the same type of agenda. Don't follow it formally. I'm not going to be as minute as I'm going to be in business, but I am going to say, okay, last time we talked about blah, 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 and we're going to follow up on that stuff first. Otherwise it gets lost. But in
Uh,
sales, that's critical because you got to keep the momentum going.
yeah, you got to have them all. You got to have them all. Okay.
Yeah.
You talk a lot about when you're building businesses, you're building teams, you compare that to pro sports. I know you're a sportsman. What can your average sales leader learn from that sports mindset, especially when you're trying to build this culture of accountability?
I think that when you look at pro sports, and you can choose whichever one you like, but I would encourage choosing a team sport,
Hmm.
not tennis, not golf. Choose a team sport. I mean, there are things to learn from a golfer and
Hmm.
how hard they work, or a tennis player, or whatever it might be. But choose a team sport and study how your favorite team really, and if they're successful. We sometimes have favorite teams who are not successful for a long time, but study how they do it. I
Uh-huh.
mean, they have spent millions of dollars, billions of dollars sometimes
Some
on
cases, yeah.
talent. Okay. And they are following this process. Okay. First of all, we got to hire the right people. We got to get the right people on the team. If we don't have the right people, it's not going to happen. And one of our favorite examples is you go back to the Golden State Warriors, like in 2015, 2016, they lost to LeBron James and his team
Hmm.
in the finals. And so then they had to make a strategic hire. You know who found immediately in the locker room after that game? You know who connected with the guy who was going to turn the team around?
Hmm.
It was excuse me, no, it wasn't. It was Draymond Green called Kevin Durant, who was on another team, but his contract was coming up. And he said, hey, we need you, short conversation. And Durant says, let's do this. And immediately they win two back-to-back championships, would have won a third, but Durant went down with an Achilles injury in the finals.
Mhm.
Okay. And so the hiring piece is so important. You've got to get the right people, and people don't hire systematically. I mean, I'm with Blackpoint, but my team is offering the service Hire the Best, which is a system for how to hire. People don't hire systematically, and
You hire
that's why you
emotionally.
get,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So particularly if you're in sales,
Mhm.
it's like, yeah, I think I can work with this guy. Yeah, it'll work out. I like, this good. Then I get back to my other stuff, and I only can say that because I've been there. I've done that. So
Me too, with bells on. And then you realize that it is actually fairly complex to hire systematically, but it's not complicated. There are just a
right.
few moving parts, but once you work out what those parts are, it's what does good look like? That's number one. What are we actually hiring for here? And you get this laundry list of copied and pasted job descriptions for the last 5 years, and you realize
Yeah.
I only want them to do three things. And if I'm hiring for 50 things, there are two things. One is you're not going to get somebody who fits everything. So when minute you talk to them, they're not good enough. Okay. Second thing is that women in particular don't tend to apply for jobs where they don't hit all of the criteria. Men tend to be, I'm fine, I'm good enough. But you've automatically excluded a significant proportion of your audience. And the more broad you're getting rather than the more narrow, like anything, let's just sales is this microcosm for life, the more narrow, the harder you're making your life. I want you to do this, 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 and you need to have done that. Or is this scale, or is this speed, or this is a cycle, or whatever it is. Done. That's enough.
Yeah.
Oh, and some value.
Oh yeah.
Throw in some
Oh yeah.
value.
And so in Hire the Best, I talk about that there's three phases of hiring.
Yeah,
So it's how you attract people.
yeah,
How are you going to attract the right people to your hiring tryout? And then how do you assess them? And then how do you add them, the onboarding process, which a lot of people don't do a good job on, which I
yeah.
talked about earlier. The attract phase, there's a lot of things you can do there, but really let's make an assumption for a moment that you're attracting at least some interesting players to come to your tryout. So I can walk you through really fast the process. And as you say, it has some complexities, but it's relatively simple what you need to do in the assess phase. And people fall down on this constantly. So you have to comprehensively look at, we do the first thing that's pre-tryout is you're going to look at a resume, you're going to glance at it. Does it look like it's a match? You're looking for some key things, longevity and positions and some other things, but you kind of give it a glance. Does it look good? Does this line up? Okay. Then that you're going to jump to, we use scorecards. We keep track of things. The second thing you're going to do is you're going to jump online. Okay. What's this person's LinkedIn profile look like? What do they look like on Facebook or anywhere else online? If they're doing crazy stuff, okay, or they have friends that are, you have to you have to figure out, is this person going to fit with us or not? Yep. Okay. Then you're going to go back and you're going to finish the resume scorecard. Because you really want to, if they've got all the time in the world to do their resume, why should there be typos? Why should there be grammatical errors? Why, if there's big gaps in the time between jobs, why are those happening? Maybe there's a good reason. Okay.
I've never understood gaps. I've never understood gaps in people's resumes. I mean, we know that resumes are typically a bunch of lies. Okay. Why are you not going to lie about that? Okay, this is terrible. Don't lie about things. Lying is bad, boys and girls. It's bad. I noticed you get 4 years. Oh, that was my top secret spy experience. I can't tell you about it. Okay, fair enough. 6 years in pokey for doing something. Oh, okay. I don't get it. I'm sorry. I derailed you. Assessment.
Yeah, no, it's fine. But that's the whole point. You have to figure out, what can I believe? What can I not believe? See what's validated. A lot of times the LinkedIn profile is not updated, or the resume is telling lies. So you got to kind of get a feel for things. Sometimes the photos, I mean, I saw, we were recruiting for a client and there were photos of a guy, and I don't want to discuss what the photos were, but it was like, there's something off about this guy. And that proved true. So if they pass the resume and the online, then you do a screen. Now, my recommendation is that's your first, what I call a core workout. Core workout is, Paul, you and I can see each other. And you're going to do it online. You tell them there's no fake virtual background. Okay. My background's boring here, but it's not fake. And so you're going to see, what's the background look like? And you do it online. Why? Why do you think I do it online instead of in person if this is the screen?
It's quicker, it's faster, it's easier. You can do it remotely. You can record it.
Exactly. And if 3 questions in, person's not a match, we're gone, and it's easy. Yeah. They didn't drive 45 minutes to my offices or something like that. Okay. And I'm going to ask hard questions up front. Okay. What are your compensation needs? We can't ask in the States here, what is your compensation? What are you earning today? That was made illegal by whomever. But so I asked, what are your compensation needs? And if they say $120,000 and my budget's 60, I say, well, thanks a lot, but this isn't going to work.
Yep. And
we're done in 3 minutes.
That's it.
Okay, it's done. I'm not wasting their time. They're not wasting my time. I'm going to ask what's their commute to our offices if they got to come in. If it's over an hour, I'm doubtful. Yeah. Each way. So I'm going to ask different questions to screen. Now, if this is a sales position, and their resume says closed 140% of quota this year. Last year I did 210% of quota. I walk on water, but that's just in my spare time. Okay, so
after I invented the internet.
Yeah, that's right. So then if they're saying things like that, then I might say, hey, your resume looks really interesting. Do you have people I can call to confirm this? Yeah. Can I talk to your boss? I'm not going to talk to your buddy who sat in the cubicle next to you, but can I talk to your boss? Or is there somebody, or do you have some paper documentation that shows you did this? So just to make certain we're on the same page. Because my number one priority in hiring, what do you think that is? We might have covered it in the last conversation. I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Yeah. Number one objective. What do you think?
Well, you're getting the right person on the bus. You want to see, are they telling you the truth? Can you trust them?
Those are all important.
Yeah.
But when I'm in the hiring process, My
Uh-huh.
number one objective is to save time. So I'm not trying
Of
to
course,
confirm how
you're
much I love
confirmed.
this person.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I'm trying to confirm when they're not a fit
Yeah.
because I want to save
You're trying
them
to qualify
time
them out.
and me.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. For their sake as well as mine. Because 50% of my responsibility, and I don't think managers do this well at all. 50% of my responsibility is to respect their time, to find the best fit for them.
Mhm.
Because if I'm not respecting their time, if I'm not showing them I value them, if I'm not finding the best fit for them, then it's probably not going to work out.
Yeah.
It's not all about me, baby, when I'm doing hiring.
Mhm.
It's really, yeah, I'd even give it an edge. It's about them because for instance, we got a guy on the Black Point team, and I was with him at a trade show. I hadn't been with him before. He's actually going to join my sales team. It's not my sales team. I work for my boss, Mike Estep, who's awesome, and that's why I joined Black Point is because of Mike. This guy's going to join the team. He was telling me when he applied at Black Point, he had already had an offer from another company, or it came while he was interviewing with Black Point. And the other company was offering him 30% more money. He took the job with Black Point,
Mhm.
and he's never regretted it. Okay. So if you're thinking more of the other person
Yeah.
and you're connecting on purpose, what you're going to be able to do here, how you're going to grow here,
Mhm.
and you actually line up and you can do this well, that's what's going to make a great hire to a lot of the degree. I mean, you have to do qualifications. I'm not done with what we do as far as the workouts, but that's where it's key. Have you found that true?
I think you are almost trying to respect. Sorry, back up for a second. It goes back to this sales as microcosm of life. This is a selling process you're going through. You're going through discovery. You're going through a whole journey with them, and it is you are in service again. You're back in service. You're back in service of the applicant. You're in service of the team that the applicant's coming into. You're in the service of the business. And I think
Yeah.
if your mentality, if your mindset, your posture is that of service again, you can't go far wrong. Because you're trying to save trying to save time. That's the mid end point. The end point is you're respecting them as the person they are by not messing them about.
Yeah, exactly. And you said earlier, you said you're not a sales guy, but you're a great sales manager.
Yeah.
I would wager one of the reasons you're a great sales manager is because when you work with people, they just know you care about them. You have a connection with them as a person,
Mm.
Paul, and that's probably one of the key reasons that you're very effective in leading people is like, this guy got my back. I can go to this guy. He's going to help me. He's going to do what he can or everything he can to try to help me be successful. And you're structured. So you're going to provide some structure so they know what's coming next. They know what's expected of them.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing. It's a huge thing.
I think so. I like to think so. You know.
So that's the first core workout. You're going to do the screen,
Hmm.
right?
Good.
The objective of the screen is, hey, you're going to be tough. The second core workout's typically where we do hard skills, technical skills.
And you
And
do the
it's going to
job.
be this,
Mhm.
yeah, it's going to be discussion of that. It may or may not be do a little bit of this or a little bit of that with some minor testing, where you're going to do what we would call a scrimmage, where you're going to be maybe working with someone else. They're going to watch what you do. But that typically doesn't happen. That's more like a discussion. Tell me how you did this. What happened there? But it's all very much role related,
Mhm.
skill related, hard skill related. And then the third core workout, which is often the final one, deals with mindset.
Mm.
Okay. So we have a lot of questions where we're going to find out how they think.
What's
And
important to them?
also, typically
Hmm.
before the third one, we're going to do a manage to win talent assessment. So we're going to have a report. What's their behavioral profile?
Yeah.
Where are their motivations? And what's their maturity in 25 soft skills? And we have a sales version of it that actually does, here's how the person is in the different parts of the sales process, qualifying, closing, etc. And we're going to discuss that with them. And we also have, instead of a job description, we put together what we call a strategic plan for their success. So that has their goals. It has the key responsibilities. It has behavioral expectations. I'm your boss. Here's how I expect you to behave to be successful on the job. And by the way, you write out as part of your homework, how do you expect me to behave so you'll be successful and you'll love working here?
Yeah.
And then, it has our cultural piece of mission, vision, values. And then it has the role, but it has the role not as a job description, but it has 2 or 3 weighted areas of key responsibilities. Not every little thing. And then it has qualifications, and then it has the key graphics from the talent assessment. But we give the SP as a homework assignment before the 3rd workout. Okay, I want you to go in and write your expectations for me. And if you disagree with any of mine, let me know. If you think any of the goals should change, let me know. If you think parts of the role should change, let me know. So if they come into the 3rd workout and you say, okay, let's discuss your SP edits. And they say, well, I really couldn't think of much expectations. I just want you to be there when I need you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a yellow or a red flag.
Yeah.
Did you have any other edits? And now I really didn't have time.
Okay, thank you for playing.
We're done. Yeah.
Yeah. See
so, yeah. But you should be ready in that 3rd core workout. You should have the offer letter ready. It's already written.
Yeah.
So that if it goes well, you may take time, and that's going to be in person ideally, unless it's a remote person, but you may have to go huddle with other people who are involved, but you're ready to make the offer. And then oftentimes the offer is subject to
references.
You hiring them for, you're going to do a background check. You're going to do a reference check if you haven't already. And then you're going to typically either have them do about 2 hours of real work with other people, or hire them for a day or longer with a contract to hire environment where you get to see how they really work. Mm-hmm. So I have a client in New York City that, they hire technical people. They're an IT managed service provider. And they go through the whole process through the 3rd core workout, and then they hire him as a contractor for a day. Come in and work for a day, pay him as a contractor at the rate that they would receive, and they throw them real work to do. They're working with somebody else, so they're not going to mess anything up. They work on their system. They teach them things, how quickly can they apply it, and they throw them something, at least one thing that's impossible. Yeah. What do? Do they just get stuck? Do they get angry? They're still going to be on their best behavior, but then you're going to get a feel for it, and other people on the team. So your hiring team, I like to talk about the hiring team, then expands to more people who are interacting with the player and can say, yeah, I'll support this person. I'll do what I can to make certain they're successful. So you have buy-in.
It's a matched identity. Beautiful. I think we got our title there. How to hire. Yeah, how to hire the best. Something like that. That's definitely what this is going to be called.
Yeah.
We got to wrap this up. This could easily go on forever, David. It really could. We had, I think, when we spoke last time, I was talking about the one thing that I would put in a billboard. It'd be something like, God is good. If you had the 10,000 billboards and the biggest marker pen ever seen, and you could share one core message with the world, what would it be?
So, I don't know how I would word it.
It's all right. It doesn't have to be short.
But I have been in I think it's 1 Corinthians, the end, or 2 Corinthians at the end of it. Paul writes, be on your guard, be strong in the faith, be men of courage, be strong. And here's what I put on the billboard, do everything in love. That's what I put on the billboard. Be a great world if we all did everything in love.
It would be a beautiful place. 1 Corinthians 16. There you go. Just in case.
I think it's 13 and 4, verse 13 and 14.
13 and 14.
Yeah.
Be on your guard, stand firm in the faith, be courageous, be strong, do everything in love.
Yeah.
On that note, David Russell, thank you very much indeed for joining me.
Thank you, Paul. You take care. I'd love to meet you in person someday. One of us is going to have to fly across the pond.
We will. We absolutely will.